10-year-old Huo Yuanjia is the son of a martial arts master named Endi. He is not allowed to participate in training due to his asthma, but he has a strong interest in Kung Fu. Huo tries to secretly join his father's classes to learn the basics. Jinsen, a nerdy kid, is Huo's only friend. Jinsen helps Huo by doing his calligraphy homework, allowing him to train instead. Huo is the second best martial artist in their town, but that is about to change as he has been challenged by the best, Zhao. Huo is excited about the fight and believes his father will win. During the match, Huo has the advantage and is about to strike a fatal blow, but his belief in fair play stops him. Taking advantage of Huo's kindness, Zhao retaliates and wins dishonorably. Huo is heartbroken. Later, Zhao's son challenges Huo to a fight, and despite his confidence, Huo is defeated quickly. This motivates Huo to restore his family's name and become the best martial artist in Tianjin. With Jinsen's help, Huo steals his father's martial arts book from the library and trains relentlessly. When Huo feels ready, he challenges Zhao's son to a rematch. Zhao accepts the challenge confidently but is easily defeated by the trained Huo. Several years pass, and Huo has become even better in martial arts. His father and wife have passed away, and he has a young daughter named Huo whom he adores. Huo remains undefeated since his last fight with Zhao, defeating many opponents without much difficulty. He gains a large number of fans and followers over the years, but he starts to develop pride and forget his father's principles. Huo indulges in drinking and partying, and his disciples focus more on having fun than practicing. Some nights, he drinks so much that he forgets to go home to his daughter. He squanders all of his family's money and accumulates debts, yet he remains carefree. One evening, he visits his wealthy friend Jinsen, who owns a famous restaurant. As usual, Huo drinks until midnight and treats his followers to unlimited food. Jinsen's assistant reminds him that Huo has not paid his bills for over a year, and they have been piling up. Later that night, Jinsen tries to talk some sense into Huo. Jinsen knows that Huo's disciples only like him because he provides free food and drinks. He wants Huo to be aware of his spending habits, but Huo thinks Jinsen is being stingy. The following day, Huo encounters his biggest rival, Ken. Ken is considered the best in martial arts and hasn't fought Huo yet. They have a small altercation that hurts Huo's pride. Out of anger, Huo takes it out on his disciples, beating them up during their nighttime training. One follower is brought to him on a stretcher, injured by Ken for some reason. Huo assumes it was done out of spite and becomes filled with anger. In Jinsen's restaurant, Ken and his family are celebrating Ken's birthday. Suddenly, Huo storms in with his group and starts drinking at a nearby table. Ken asks him to put their rivalry aside for the night, not wanting to fight, but Huo refuses. Jinsen also tries to stop him but is insulted instead. In a fit of rage, Huo ends their lifelong friendship and challenges Ken to a fight, demanding him to kneel down if he refuses. The restaurant clears out for safety, leaving only the fighters. They engage in an intense battle, evenly matched in skill and strength. However, Huo's anger gets the better of him, and he resorts to unfair tactics. He beats Ken until he is exhausted and lands a fatal punch on his chest, causing him to die instantly. The next morning, Huo returns home to find his mother dead on her bed. It turns out that Ken's followers had killed her as revenge. He mourns her death, and to his shock, he discovers his daughter lying on her bed covered in blood, holding a small pouch she had promised to give him upon his return. Devastated by the deaths he caused, Huo leaves the house. His disciples inform him that the man beaten by Ken had insulted his wife, and Ken's actions were in defense of her honor, not out of spite. Filled with guilt, regret, and sorrow, Huo sees no reason to continue living. He boards a ship, willing to go anywhere. After living on the streets for 6 months, he contemplates an unthinkable act but is rescued by a group of people by the river. They bring him to their tribe and take care of him. However, even after regaining consciousness, Huo falls into depression and refuses to talk to anyone. A blind woman named Moon looks after him, and her experienced grandmother is confident that he will recover with time. One day, Moon gently touches Huo's hair and offers to give him a haircut. It's the first time in a month that Huo is able to walk, and he accompanies Moon to a nearby river. There, Moon helps him trim his hair, marking the beginning of his integration into their community. Huo contributes by assisting with cooking, farming, and household chores. Over the course of a year, Moon and Huo gradually develop romantic feelings for each other. Then, an incident occurs when a child from their tribe is caught stealing a cow from a neighboring community. In order to seek forgiveness, Moon and the elderly grandmother plead with the leader of the rival group. However, according to their customs, the person who commits the offense must be subjected to a beating until an incense stick burns out completely. In an act of solidarity and bravery, Huo speaks up on behalf of the tribe and offers to endure the punishment in place of the child. As per the tradition, Huo must engage in a fight with the rival leader. Despite Huo's superior martial arts skills, he decides not to utilize his expertise to harm others. Initially, he refrains from defending himself, but with some encouragement from the grandmother, he begins to evade the leader's attacks. As the incense stick burns out, the leader fails to land a single blow on Huo, ultimately conceding defeat and commending Huo's character. The following day, Huo, Moon, and the children of the tribe find themselves in a field. The children express their desire to learn Kung Fu from Huo, but he declines their request. Recognizing the potential dangers associated with excessive power, Huo wishes to preserve the peaceful nature of the village. Although the children innocently point out the close bond between Huo and Moon, the adults overlook their remark. One day, while Moon visits her parents' graves, Huo's thoughts are drawn to his own parents and his deceased daughter, whom he had forsaken. Now in a better emotional state, he yearns to return home and pay his respects at their resting places. Huo confides in Moon about his plan, and she warmly supports his decision. Promising to come back as soon as possible, Huo asks Moon to patiently wait for his return. In the subsequent scene, we witness Huo's arrival in his hometown of Tianjin, which has undergone significant transformations. Following the downfall of the Qing dynasty, several powerful nations invaded China, resulting in the partial colonization of Tianjin. Consequently, the city witnessed an influx of foreign residents who exerted an influence on its culture. Huo visits his childhood home, which now appears dilapidated and neglected. Laifu, the family servant, graciously welcomes him. Despite his best efforts to preserve the house, creditors took advantage of Huo's absence and ransacked the entire property in search of money. Huo then pays a visit to his family's gravesite, expressing deep remorse and apologizing to his late father. Finally, he comprehends why he refrained from delivering the decisive blow years ago, which could have earned him the title of the best player. Afterward, Huo goes to Qi's family and apologizes, bowing before Qi's shrine. While roaming the city, he comes across Hercules O'Brien, a wrestler who challenges Chinese individuals to fights. Hercules remains undefeated and is confident about his next victory. To preserve Chinese heritage, Huo desires to challenge him, but he requires funds for this purpose. For his next move, Huo visits Jinsen's establishment, expressing remorse for their past altercation. He assures Jinsen that he has learned from his actions. Upon learning Huo's financial needs, Jinsen promptly provides the money through an assistant. Subsequently, at the 1909 race club in Shanghai, Huo confronts Hercules. At first glance, the much larger Hercules appears unlikely to be defeated by the smaller Huo. However, before the match begins, Huo requests a fair and respectful fight. Taking advantage of the language barrier, the announcer mistakenly translates Huo's request as wanting to kick his butt, causing Hercules to laugh. The fight commences, and to everyone's surprise, Huo immediately gains the upper hand. As the match intensifies, Huo exhibits good sportsmanship by saving Hercules from being impaled on the ring's nails. Accepting his defeat gracefully, Hercules acknowledges Huo as the victor. This solitary fight brings Huo fame, and he is summoned to Shanghai. In Shanghai, Huo reunites with Jinsen, who proposes the creation of the Qin Wu Athletic Association. This association's aim is to teach Chinese students the art of Kung Fu, ensuring the preservation of their heritage despite foreign pressures. Meanwhile, a group of officials from the foreign chamber is displeased with Huo's growing popularity among the Chinese public. They fear that Huo's victories against foreign fighters may provoke anti-foreign sentiments. To ensure Huo's defeat in the ring, they suggest a match where he must face 4 successive foreign champions in a single day. The Japanese representative, Mr. Mita, pledges to finally put an end to Huo. Despite recognizing the difficulty of the challenge and its transparent intent to make him lose, Huo agrees to participate. One day prior to the significant fight, he encounters his rival, Japanese champion Tanaka. Over a cup of tea, they engage in conversation and develop a bond. Tanaka proves to be an honorable and fair sportsman, in contrast to those who sponsor him. On the day of the fight, Huo is pitted against 3 fighters from various parts of the world, all of whom succumb to defeat within minutes. Finally, he faces Tanaka, who expresses regret for the unfair match and suggests rescheduling. Huo assures him that everything is fine, and they initiate the first round, engaging in combat with their chosen weapons. Huo utilizes a sanhigu while Tanaka wields a katana in the midst of their intense battle. Accidentally, their weapons get swapped, causing Tanaka to struggle with the unfamiliar sanhigu. To level the playing field, Huo suggests exchanging the weapons again. The first round ends in a draw due to the momentary holdup. During the break before the next round, Huo drinks poison tea orchestrated by Mr. Mita, who is determined to witness Huo's defeat at any cost. As the next round begins, Huo collapses and immediately starts coughing up blood. Concerned for Huo's well-being, Tanaka calls for a halt in the match. However, Huo discovers that he has been poisoned but decides to press on, knowing his impending demise. Even on the verge of death and completely exhausted, Huo manages to deliver a final blow to Tanaka's chest, utilizing the same technique that had caused Kin's death. This time, he refrains from unleashing the full force of the punch, having learned from his past mistakes. Shortly after, Huo collapses. Recognizing Huo's deliberate restraint, Tanaka declares Huo as the winner. Ultimately, Huo falls into the arms of his friend and takes his last breath. In a fit of anger, Tanaka berates Mr. Mita for resorting to murder in order to protect his pride, branding him as a disgrace to Japan before storming off. In the final scene, Huo's spirit arrives at the field outside Moon's house, and despite her blindness, Moon senses his presence and rushes to meet him.